Welcome to the Learning Curve podcast. Today we are going to talk about Next.js, right?
Yes.
And this is after a long time we are doing this face-to-face episode. Feels like the first time, right?
Yeah, last time we did it, but I don't think we recorded video. We went live on Twitter, but we did not record the video. So technically, this is the first time that we are doing audio and video in person.
Plus we have this cool mic which records from both directions, so really nice.
Yeah.
And we also have a backup mic and we have the GoPro for those who are interested in our setup today. So today we are going to talk about Next.js, right, Arvind? So some questions like you are a Gatsby developer.
Yeah.
What did you find interesting in Next.js?
So the first thing was Next.js Conf, which made me have go look at the Next.js documentation. And I tried a few apps with it. So the good thing with that is the developer experience is very nice when you compare it with Gatsby. And the docs are also very well written, to the point. So when I saw docs and their examples repository, then I had an idea of how it works and how easy it is to build things with Next.js basically.
Cool. So, when we choose a framework, there are some people behind the framework. So, Gatsby sounds like, it's been there for a long time. It's the most popular, what do you call it? Framework for React or static site generator?
For React.
Everything, right?
Yeah, it's a framework as well.
Yeah, so it's a framework for React. It's been there for a long time and it's the popular kid in town. But what happens is when something gets popular and popular, it gets detached from the person who created it, the people who are contributing most to it. So did you feel that about Gatsby? And do you feel Next.js is a bit different where you look up to some people who are building it?
No, both have companies backed by it.
Okay.
Gatsby has its own backing, which is Gatsby Inc., which is
Mhm.
heavily funded, and then Next.js is also by Vercel,
Okay.
which is Zite, which used to be Zite.
Zite was a better name, Next.js guys.
Hot take.
Yeah.
So it is both are run by companies. When you not think about who's running it and come to think about what a framework or what Next and Gatsby do in theory, then I can say that Next is more powerful than Gatsby.
Okay.
And that is because Gatsby just does static site generation. And if you want to use it as an app where you need authentication and all, then it becomes very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it, but it becomes very complicated. But with Next.js, the thing is it is built into the core. So you can do static generation like Gatsby, and also you can server-side render a few pages.
Okay.
Meaning, if you have a shopping cart or a shopping e-commerce website, then the landing page can be statically generated.
Okay.
Because those are constant. The products you have are constant. And then when a user logs into them, they can see their orders, right? So that can be server-side generated.
Okay.
Server-side rendered. So you can do this mixed rendering with Next.js, whereas with Gatsby it takes a lot of steps to achieve that.
Cool. So even though Gatsby is a bigger more popular one, Next.js has features which we definitely need. So it's also good. So even Svelte is actually coming out with this server-side rendering feature.
Zapier.
No, not Zapier. It's going to be built into the framework.
Nice.
So you can choose which pages to server-side render, and I'm excited about it. But Rich Harris, the founder of Svelte, he said we don't know what the timeline will be. So it would be cool where frameworks would do not frameworks. Okay, what is happening now? Okay, so React is a framework. Gatsby is a framework.
React is a UI
React.
library.
Okay, it's not a framework.
It's not a framework.
Okay.
Framework is generally the thing which takes lots of decisions for you. So Gatsby has its own way of doing things.
Okay.
Next has its own way of doing things. So we can call them as frameworks.
Okay.
React, they market it as a library which lets you write components itself.
All I've heard about React is it's a framework. I don't know. Maybe it started with Angular being a framework.
Angular is a framework because you have a lot of things baked into Angular, like routing. All these things, authentication, routing, all are baked into the framework. but library is a slim version basically.
So when I think of, I know this is going in a different direction, but I would still like to go there. When I think of UI library, I think of Ionic.
Yeah.
So Ionic is it's what it is. It's a UI library. It gives a lots of UI component out of the box, and you can utilize those. And when you think of UI, you think of components which you can use. Whereas in React, it is you can build UI components using it. Okay,
it's a framework for UI library.
It's a framework for building UI components. Yes, to create something like Ionic, or So Ionic people created Stencil JS so that they can create the components, which also has React-like language, like syntax. Yeah. So pretty cool. So coming back to Next.js, you said it has server-side rendering, and you have the optionality where you can set some pages as server rendered and some as just static site. Yeah. So how do you do it? Like, is there a certain thing you have to do? Is it difficult?
Yeah, it's not actually. I mean, it's not very difficult. You have to write things in the code. So what happens is, in your project, you have this directory called pages, and then in that index.js will be your root path, and then about.js will be your domain name /about. So what you can do there is, if you want it generated statically, then in that JS file you can export a function called get static props. And so what it does is, before generating that HTML page, it calls that function and gets all that performs actions that you define in that function. For example, getting all the markdown files and creating a table or a list of all the blog posts that you have. So you can do those things in get static props function. So if the file has that get static props function, then it knows that it is a statically generated page. Similarly, you have get server side props, which means it doesn't generate it while you're building it, but when your server is running, when you deploy it, when there is a request made to this page, it runs that get server side props function, and then bundles it with the HTML and gives back the response.
Okay, so I think it's quite straightforward.
It's quite straightforward. You have two functions. One is get static side props, which is used for static rendering, static generation, and then you have server side props, which is used for server side rendering.
Cool. So here I think the benefit of server side rendering is that you don't have to, like, how does it work in React? So if there is a component, it won't be compiled or built, or I don't know, like, so if a component, say it's a card, okay, there is a photo, there is a name, and that's a component. Now to create that card, like, it gets images from somewhere. So if it's server side rendered, then it will not do that operation until it is used, right? Or until it is called. Will it build that card on the fly? Whereas I know, like, in static site pages, it builds everything and ships it as a static page.
As a HTML page.
As a HTML page. How does it work when in the server side rendering?
In the server side rendering, what happens is it builds it in the server and then sends your browser the HTML code.
Okay.
It's not the file, but it is the HTML response that it gets. So all this building happens in the server.
Okay. So normally how it is on the client. No, it's not even on the client, right? It's a static page. Everything is there on that page.
Yeah.
Here it is sending you the code, and no, it is actually fetching all the images on the server,
and then
sending you the final card component.
So the advantage here is it works well in situations where you need authentication. So you verify if the request is authenticated, and then you build the page and you send back the code, HTML code. So it works very well. Whereas for static pages, it's the complete HTML that you get.
Yeah, I think it doesn't make much sense, right, for static pages.
Yeah.
So authentication is one use case where, like, only the person whose account it is, or only the users who can have access to something can choose it, like see it. What are other use cases of Next.js which are different from Gatsby?
So the use cases is, you can do all the static things. You can write blogs, you can write documentations, all the things that Gatsby does, you can do it in Next.js. but I've heard Gatsby does very good with images. So it has its own image component, which uh, basically, if you have used Medium, then when you first scroll to that image, it is blurry, and then it loads up. So it dynamically loads up that image. So this thing is built into Gatsby.
Okay.
But Next.js is getting there. I saw a tweet from its founder that they have shipped something regarding that, like 1 or 2 days ago. So Next.js will be there, but it's not there yet in the image handling part.
Okay.
But you can basically use Next for all the use cases that you have used Gatsby for.
So it's just a server-side rendering that is different in Next.js.
It's just a server-side rendering, and what happens is for Gatsby, if you want to completely take the advantage of Gatsby, you need to know GraphQL.
Okay.
So its data layer, it has a GraphQL layer where you can fetch data from different sources. But for most of the use cases, like having a simple blog, it's an overkill.
Okay.
And if you are a beginner, then learning GraphQL is an extra thing that you need to know before you get into Gatsby. I'm sure you can use Gatsby without GraphQL. You can just write a JSON file or do stuff, but if you want to take complete advantage, then you need the knowledge of GraphQL. Whereas with Next.js, it's not the case.
And I think people consider GraphQL as a default, right, when they think of Gatsby.
Yeah. A lot of plugins. If you another advantage with Gatsby is that it has a very good plugin ecosystem, but that has its own downsides. Meaning, plugins also need to take advantage of GraphQL. So if there is an issue with a plugin, you cannot debug it, or the errors are you need to know what that plugin does. You need to go into that source code and check where it's going wrong. So
you need to know this another technology to understand plugins. Whereas in Next.js, they are not heavily reliant on GraphQL for their plugins.
It's normal Node.js or JavaScript code. So, and it doesn't have this overhead of GraphQL and a data layer.
Okay.
So even if there is a plugin, it's simpler. It's simpler to understand and debug.
Okay.
You don't need to write any GraphQL queries. It's just fetching a few files, using fs.read file and getting the content display.
Okay.
It's basically that. It's very simple in Next.js.
So to sum it up, basically Next.js is beginner friendly. It has server-side rendering, and does it have better docs than Gatsby or similar?
Because both have good communities and both. I mean, now at this point of time, both documentations are very good. Even a beginner can understand both of those documentations. So
and Next.js had something called Zite, which is like Zite now, and instantly
we do have it, but they call it Vercel now.
Yeah, so of course, but is it like does it play a role in Next.js's deploying of websites?
Yes, so they say Next.js is for now. I mean, now easily deploys Next.js.
Okay, it's still called now. Okay.
It's still called now, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, now. So it knows a lot of things. If it is the hybrid rendering which we were talking about, a few pages static and a few pages server side. Now understands. Now meaning the
the
service now.
What do you call that?
Not service.
Not service now. That's a help desk. Yeah. What do you call this?
Deployment service.
Yeah, it's a deployment service from the terminal, right?
It's like Netlify but from Zite.
But from the terminal also. Right?
But from Vercel and terminal also.
Do they also have a UI like Netlify?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, okay.
They do have a dashboard and stuff.
I think I checked out Zite when it was like Vercel when it was called Zite, and it was mainly they were pushing the terminal thing.
Yeah.
And you just do Zite now, and then it gives you a link instantly of your folder. I really like that workflow.
You have that, and you have a dashboard also.
Okay.
And Netlify is also coming up with terminal commands.
Terminal is actually like, when we think of it, it's like, okay, terminal again, but it's actually better than the UI because we are always in the terminal, so it's very easy to get there. So overall, I think Next.js is something worth checking out. And
the good thing is you don't have to. There's no lock-in. You don't have to use only now. You can statically generate stuff and you can deploy it to Netlify. Or
Yeah,
GitHub
anywhere
pages.
you want basically. Yeah. Cool. And does Gatsby have something equivalent of now?
Gatsby Cloud.
Okay.
So they have Gatsby Cloud, and the free tier is they basically make money using Gatsby Cloud.
Okay.
So what they do is they do incremental generations. So for example, the one of the main complaints that people at Gatsby have using Gatsby have is that it takes a lot of time to build because it generates all these images and
I
stuff.
remember you were building something and you went and you had coffee and then you came back and
It's
still it was
yeah.
building. Right?
So it happens. So this guy Wes Boss, he complained he had a lot of blog posts. He was migrating his blog over to Gatsby, and he was complaining about the build times. So what Gatsby did is it made this Gatsby Cloud, which does incremental builds. It only builds the pages which are changed.
Okay.
So first build it will take 4 to 5 minutes. I mean for my site it takes 4 to 5 minutes, and then if I edit a typo, it's 2-3 seconds. It's that fast. So it is. They are.
It sounds funny because they kept some features and made the framework slow so that they could say people need to make money, no doubt. But it's just funny, like when you say it's fast, it's not really. It's like it's keeping something slow
and then
look
making
fast.
it making it look fast. So they make money using this. I think 25 edits per month is free.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Or 25 edits per day is free. You have some cloud limits.
Okay.
For open source projects, and then if you are using it at scale at your company, then you have to pay for it.
Okay, and I think Next.js does not do anything like that yet.
No. Next.js has now, right?
So now is, I mean, does now have any extra features which speed up
No, I don't
Next.js?
think so.
No,
I don't
nothing
think
like that. Okay.
But
Cool.
I'll have to check.
And are these open source projects? Is Next.js open? Even Gatsby is open source, right?
Gatsby is open source, Next.js is open
It's
source.
actually smart. So these open source projects have some limitation,
Yeah.
and that's how all electronic devices and everything. Like with Apple, you have how much, like 8 GB RAM, then you upgrade to 16, something like that. So it's actually giving you a slower RAM, and it does not cost much to give you that little bit of more RAM and extra storage. But they want to make more money, so makes sense. So overall, it was a pleasure getting to know about Next.js, and I think we should definitely, I should definitely check it out. Yeah.
I was thinking we could rewrite Learning Curve's website to Next.
Just for the fun, to see
Just
the
for
difference,
fun.
right? Yeah.
But there is a rule in computer programming where if
when it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah, let's use our time for different things, right? Something else that might pop up that needs Next.js. Many people actually do that, where they create same applications in different to see the difference.
Yeah.
But I think it's like I don't think there's crazy amount of difference in both these.
At the end of the day, we would be editing markdown files.
Yeah.
That is.
At the end of the day, you have limited time. What are we going to do with that little time? So let's make more podcasts.
Let's make more podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. It was fun talking to you.
Yes.
Like I don't know how to end this. Like we're in front of each other, and we'll probably be going recording the next podcast just after this. So how do we end this?
Please share on Twitter.
I think this is where we should turn to the audience and say, thanks for listening, guys. This was Next.js versus Gatsby for you. Next.js wins, right? No, it's a draw. Okay. Okay.
We'll let you decide.
Yeah, please write in the comments wherever you see this.
Comments in the sense, please
if it doesn't
reply
have a
on
comment
Twitter.
feature, let us know. We'll build one. Okay, see you guys.
See you. Have a good day. Have a good time of the day. Bye.
Bye.